Welcome, everybody, back to the Gateway. We have a new player tonight. We have a fairly full house, and we're continuing from where we left off. Uh, Before we get into it, though, I'd like to inform all of you that you don't just have to watch. You can if you want. You can get involved. Come on, hit the link down below to join our Discord. We have several games throughout the week. We have experimental games. We have several different uh, kinds of role play. You can do live games like this, or you can do the forum-based live role play where we actually have a bunch of different channels for people to continually message back and forth about what their character is doing.
Come, join the chaos. We have cookies.
Sometimes.
And if you happen to have something that you are thinking about asking, go ahead. We are all very welcoming. The DMs are generally willing to work with you. And if it is something off the wall and needs homebrewing, they're going to bring it to me anyway. So, come on.
Yes, we will.
And
And
Okay,
then we'll give it
Um,
to Fenris.
that's what I'm
yes,
here for.
I do a bunch of the homebrewing to balance things out so that they actually fit the different campaigns that they're in. And Fenris helps us by recoding them for our for the D&D Beyond sheets that we use. So with all of that out of the way, I'd like to invite all of you to take that nice deep breath, close your eyes, and let's leave reality behind. We're gonna descend through that curtain of darkness that separates reality from our fantasies, light or dark. We're going to sweep down through the darkness of the world that we have headed towards instead of the gateway. As our adventurers that we might start actually calling heroes at this point have actually helped clear out a couple of blocks of bloated, exploding, infectious zombies that, well, Draxon's grandfather had informed them about before they did a bunch of things and got involved. With that, we descend out of the darkness into a very low lit neighborhood. There are blue lights on top of most of the buildings that just barely cascade out and make it so that you can tell details in the dark, but it absolutely ruins regular dark vision. We descend as several spaces of this neighborhood burn and roil in flame, and some of our party is separated by a block or two of round buildings. We find a Draxon now facing his grandfather, who is slowly punching back over, leaning on his cane. I leave it right here. As
how
any
how much time has passed since the beginning of the encounter?
approximately 2 minutes.
Okay. He seeing that everything's clear at the moment, he'll put um his weapon away, turn to his grandfather. Was that the only set to worry about at the moment?
It was the closest to any of the survivors in the district, in the ward. It's been tiring work. That was the largest group that I've seen today.
If that's the closest, was the closest, then it's not going to keep everybody safe permanently, but it will buy us a little bit of time.
Exactly why I had 4 men with me. Uh, Thank you for bringing all of your friends and making much faster work of it. I was expecting that to take about an hour.
Well, you relayed the urgency of the situation, and after we had everything gathered that we absolutely needed for the trip, we let a few things go on hold. We decided to get here as quick as possible, and Biren pretty much ran nonstop to get us here.
Biren?
Um, he was the one at the back of all of us, up top of the building, shooting from a distance.
Mm,
But we hit the first ward, delivered some supplies, and then dropped off some supplies here. So they have some, but we've got plenty more. What's the next step?
Next step is back to base, regroup, find out if any of the scouts came back with reports of other groups moving.
All right.
Find out if the gate needs reinforce. Find out if there's anything close to the worm stop. Those are the only two ways out if things go that far south.
Well,
We've collapsed the other two ways so that we only had to cover one.
only arrived few, maybe 10 minutes ago. Wormstop was clear of any issues. We didn't see anything shambling towards them. Matter of fact, the first shamblers we saw were the ones you guys were dealing with.
Well, we've got constant scouts. Keep a running report. It's just it's easy to spot dozens. It's difficult to spot one or two. We're all tired.
There.
In fact, the four that I brought, I was planning on letting them have some rack time before and swapping out for another set. But if I don't have to run them ragged, maybe we can do something
Oh,
else.
we can discuss all that back at your all's base. Might as well get
Yeah.
moving before we find ourselves against another horde.
Okay, let's collect your. Kind of looks down one of the roads. It'll be fine. Buildings are stone anyway. Uh, let's gather your friends, gather our troops, and get everybody back.
He moves around to the main thoroughfare that they were on. Goes and looks for the others to collect.
Fairly simple. Everybody is pretty much still in the spots that they were before, unless they decided they're moving.
Nishani is just kind of gauging, investigating the area, checking for anything that would give them any information or anything that might help them figuring out how to fix the situation.
After
Well-
the battle, seeing the carnage and amount of bodies, Lightfoot would pretty much begin playing a slight burial tune from his homeland, just kind of giving the souls a proper send off in his opinion.
Oh, babe, sorry, I didn't tell you. I broke your bagpipes.
What?
No, I'm
He's
kidding.
fucking with you.
I finished the fight out for you. And all I did the entire time with Lightfoot was just he plays his bagpipes because I don't know the rest of his sheet.
It was beautiful. It was inspiring.
Just the entire time, just fucking.
It
Yes.
actually did help
Oh.
the support NPCs, so
Yes.
You sound like the people playing for the church festival. Stop it.
I was gonna say, they're the Shriners.
No.
Mm.
So
Portuguese
can we
Catholic
gather
people.
materials from these bodies, or are they too decomposed?
they, it was only like 15-20 seconds before most of them burst once you dropped them. I'm not talking like pop and confetti. I'm talking like
Paint the walls.
yeah, it's sort of like they swallowed a grenade and then let it go off.
Blood and viscera everywhere. Gross.
And from going into the area, you can still see some of that. You can still see some of the color of the spores settling from above as they had been shot into the air, aerosoling the entire area.
That just
So-
sounds nasty.
Well, I was gonna just ignite the whole area, but
So, would Dashani have discovered anything just investigating the area and looking?
Go ahead and give me the investigation roll.
Okay. Skills.
Also, with God's goggles on, he can change his vision from dark to heat to ultraviolet to infrared. He's gonna scan around to see if he can see anything as well.
19.
You can choose between perception or investigation as well. 19. You take notice that the spores that are hitting the flames are rescattering. You're noticing the ones that fall into your ridiculously concentrated amount of light. They are shriveling. Your radiant, a ridiculous amount of radiant energy is shriveling them as they fall in.
The ones that are hitting the flame, does it look like they're multiplying or just scattering?
You can get closer and take a look at that, but that's possible exposure.
I got 23 on investigation.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
not going to get that close.
Okay. 23. These things actually bring the temperature down. So their signature is blue. In heat scale. In dark vision, they do not actually really show up. they kind of blend into the background.
That's
Ul-
great.
Ultralight. They stand out like they're glowing. They are, from that bit of knowledge, probably, well, you already know that they're virulently detrimental to breathe in, ingest, what have you. Go ahead and give me a intelligence. Yeah. Go ahead and give me an intelligence nature roll. I know it's only a +1, but you do have advantage, so
16.
okay. Know you already know it's dangerous. That wasn't quite high enough to pick out something else that was a bit beyond that. You know not to breathe it, you know not to eat it. Probably bad to get in your eyes, that type of stuff.
Would Squawk be immune?
Hmm?
Would Squawk be immune to it if you wanted to eat it?
It is not that kind of effect, so no, he would not be immune.
Gotcha. I just wanted to know if he's like affected like we are. Is what I should have asked.
Yep. He does not have any special defenses against it right now.
As we're walking back to the main group, I am going to pull out. You said it was Iroh and then 4 others.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 spear and tower shield users, 1 with 2 whips and 1 with 2 warhammers.
That's right. I'm gonna pull out 5 scrolls and hand them to my grandfather. Those will help if you guys are feeling exhausted a little bit, and
Can anybody who is currently playing give me a single d20 roll?
Just straight D20?
Yep.
14.
Okay.
oh, just
You
one
do
of us.
realize that you do realize that you have the other players that are still active in the game, just not around. So you do have Horby.
Okay, so then I can get him to light one in the sensor.
Yes.
That's what I'll do then. I'll have him light the sensor and spread that around to the group entirely.
The smoke. He lights the sensor. You put one of the scrolls in, and the space and the 30-foot sphere around him fills with smoke. The spores all drop and wither as they hit the ground as he trails the smoke behind. You know that this will last for a minute or for an hour
Mm-hmm.
while he is still using the sensor. It
Kind of just
also works like a regular you can only be affected by one of these scrolls per burning for the regular effects of greater restoration.
Right. But seeing that the spores kind of like wither in the smoke, I'm gonna have him kind of, after everybody's had a little bit of time in the smoke, I'm gonna see if I can get him to, back and forth past the road to kind of just keep the spores that we released from this fight away from town that's behind us.
There's a problem with that in particular. There are
Okay.
two 30-foot zones of fire that are not going out because they have a decent supply of oil. And Horby is not suicidal, so he's not walking into the
No,
circles of fire.
but I thought the fire was shot at the end of the way that wasn't back towards where we came from.
There was one, so memory recalling. There was your front line. There was then you about 15 feet ahead of that.
Uh-huh.
You were standing in the center of the radiant
Right.
sector, right at the so that they overlapped like a Venn diagram. There was one of the fire zones that that Biren had shot.
Right.
So that's one, and then there's one about a block and a half back and to the left
Okay.
that is still burning. Those two
Right.
spaces are the
I'm
difficult.
talking about the space that I'm trying to have him use the
Oh, over
sensor in the,
where
by
you
where
and your
we
grandfather.
no, where we had the front line
Okay.
behind us, kind of like a smoke barrier to rid of the spores that might possibly still be there, because those bodies had just exploded.
He can smoke
Um,
screen that over the course of a minute. Go ahead.
is there any water that I can see nearby?
There doesn't seem to be an open water barrel anywhere near you.
Is there
We have crates of or canisters of water though.
we do have a canister of water,
Also,
Intelligence check.
but
I
this
wanna
is
relay
oil
the inf-
fires, not good for water.
I was about to say something, but
It would depend on how much water there was. If there was a substantial amount of water, it would work. It would work. You wouldn't want to be near it when it happened, but it would work.
I didn't know what the water was for, so guys just new here. He's just throwing things out there. Also, I'm gonna relay the information I learned about them glowing to Horby and to Dutchy.
As he speaks it out, anybody who wishes can. I guess that would still be a nature check. Anybody who wishes, they can make a nature check on that information now.
Okay. In that
Uh,
case, you said
That's a
nature?
2. So that's a 4. I don't know shit. I've
I
not
got a
encountered these
6.
fuckers before.
12.
That's a 7.
Dutchy, are you relaying this information to me?
I'm literally looking around trying to find a water source, and as I'm passing people, I'm
24.
explaining we need to get those fires out.
Hmm.
24.
24, yes.
I'm basically
You've
saying
explored the
they're.
multiverse enough.
Sorry, go ahead.
Ari, you've explored the multiverse enough to have heard the terminology for radiation.
Okay.
You know what pure white on the ultraviolet scale means in a radiation scale.
Okay.
They are.
I was gonna say Ari may know that. It's been
Yeah.
a minute since I've taken high school physics and chemistry and shit. So You're gonna have to remind me.
This is a radioactive material to the point where it
Chernobyl?
is not quite Chernobyl. We're not talking the elephant's foot. We're talking like snowflakes. But each one of those snowflakes is effectively a cluster of alpha particles. Don't let it
Oh,
get in you.
yeah. Ari's going to look at everybody and say, make sure masks are working and everything. Don't breathe that shit.
Don't let it get into your eyes, your nose, your mouth, open cuts, ears.
As I'm passing people, I'm letting them know that the spores are dispersing by the flames. I can't tell if they're multiplying, but it's definitely giving them life. And sacred, the energy of the gods seems to be what is diminishing them. But we need to get those fires out.
All
As I'm
right.
looking for water.
I have. You know what? Let's roll some dice. I have an idea, but
Do we have any canisters left?
Plenty.
yep, that's on the stupid side. All right. um,
Throw the tacos. No,
Baron fires a flashbang into the fire furthest from everybody. Like they used to put out oil fires when they're on oil rigs by sticking dynamite in it and blowing it up because
Using
the
a
concussive.
compression wave, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I want to try and do. What do I need to
Okay.
roll to try this?
I am thinking.
Are you still on your perch?
Yes.
Okay.
Let it be known that if this actually works, Lightfoot's gonna join you because I do have Thunderclap.
Okay. Roll a regular attack.
$22.
Okay. With that,
And hold
I am
on.
going to.
Kind of knowledge wise, knowing that, seeing this thing, kind of guessing just based on his own inference as to what, Fear is going to try and do. I'm gonna throw a nice little word of encouragement at him.
You go,
And
boy.
yeah, you do this. Woo! You can do it.
What's the range on that? Because you got to remember, I'm a block back and 80 feet up in the air.
As long as you can hear me, and
You
I got
can do
my
it.
megaphone.
All
I
right.
got my bullhorn.
You can do it.
So you get a D8 as well to add to that attack roll.
Ooh.
I'm getting that sucker as high as possible.
Hold on
Yeah,
to
but
that.
that was just an extra 2.
You do hit. I'm lowering the DC for what I'm about to ask you to do. Can you roll me a Constitution check for me?
Tech.
Check.
Hmm.
You can use the die if you decided you didn't use it on the attack.
Okay, I will do that then.
And can't you use your thing to also swap decks for that?
Oh, yes. My
Just me over here casually fucking helping people.
could I use my swagger on that? That's the free action, make dexterity the base of your skill check. This is a skill check, correct?
Yeah, technically. So yes, you can go ahead and do
Ish.
that.
27.
Okay. That was me giving me making you the base of it having a con save. It being a pool of fire and oil. You far surpass it in both your attack and and its save. So I'm going to say that it does succeed in having a concussive pop. It doesn't sound the same because it is doing a pop in an area that is so superheated that it actually implodes for a moment and then goes outward again to put out all of the flames. The the area goes dark once more.
So there's
It
one
worked.
fire. Yay! Ari just kind of lifts up the bullhorn and says, "Good job."
Well, everybody needs to get away from the other one then. He messages to Dutchy through the telepathic link.
Real quick, did we ever get the bullhorn actually made?
Your megaphone should be.
Oh, because I never. If it's not, or if it is, cool. Because I never actually added it.
If it wasn't, it's just because it's a basic megaphone. It wasn't anything special.
Yeah, it just basically made your thing into a cone and gave it a
Yeah, I see it.
significant boost to its range.
Yeah, I see it. Add. Equip. Okay. So as Dutchy kind of ran away for a minute, I'm going to say she, kind of said everything. So then Ari's gonna get on his thing and be like, "Everybody, get away from the fire if you want to live." And he's just gonna
Always.
start. He's just gonna spread his arms around like the townspeople and everything, and just start like herding everybody away from it using
Well,
his size.
it's just our group and their group. It's not a townsfolk.
Oh, for some reason I was thinking there was like a big crowd. Oh
Nope.
God.
No, you guys like literally less than 3 minutes ago were fighting a very significant horde of bloated exploding zombies.
Right. Okay.
Why would anybody who's not ready for combat stick around for that?
Why would anybody in their right mind stick around for that? Oh, wait,
There's-
we're not.
That they have suicidal ideation, or they're just like massive hero fanboys, like from like Izuku from My Hero.
As they're backing away, guy's gonna get close to the grandfather, introduce himself. Hey, the lady with the whips. He's single.
I would say, seeing how effective the. Seeing how
He
effective the
wants to
concussive-
be your new granddaddy.
And seeing how well the concussive blast worked on the first fire, Lightfoot is going to lend aid with his thunderclap cantrip.
Don't do it.
That's
Don't do
centered
it?
around you. That is centered around you. You have to be in the
Oh,
middle of the
okay.
fire for that.
Okay. I misread.
Oh,
I
I was
think.
gonna say, yeah,
So
no, that's
once-
exactly what it is.
Once everyone is at least half a block away, if not a block away, then I will fire the next shot.
Go ahead and give me those 2 rolls. And we'll come back to the other things right after that part.
Um,
25 attack.
this is not a save, so it does. I couldn't help you.
and 19 on the con check. Using my ability again.
Once again, there is the bolt gets to the center, slams into the ground. There's a sucking sound. Most of the intensity pulls in, and then there's a pop from the center. It sounds muffled because of the oddity of the air being so superheated. It almost completely does the job. There are a couple of smaller flames that are still at the edges because the blast wasn't quite large enough. And you can tell that they're going to recatch, but you have time to put them out.
Put them out.
How big are they? Can we stomp them out?
With a little bit of work, yes, you can stomp
How's-
them.
Are they like the size of campfires?
Uh, not like a full campfire, more like the tiny ones that you might see kids build on a bus stop.
Perfect. Perfect. Prestidigitation. Snuff them
Yep.
all out.
One by one, your group either magically or by sheer force of boot puts out the access outside just before the first rekindling starts to burn in from the far end. The small beats of the beads of the fungus are trickling down as Horby comes to stand up next to you and is looking for direction, as he so often is.
Take the sensor and just kind of spread the smoke around the area. Kill off as much of the stuff as we can.
He carefully walks through the area because the oil slick is because it's burnt, it's not slippery so much as it is sticky.
And
Mhm.
hot.
You just see patches of fur stuck everywhere he's stepped.
Ow, 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 ow.
And as he starts clearing that area, we had Guy say something about talking to the grandfather, or the just one of the soldiers that was with the grandfather.
No,
The
he introduced
grandfather.
the grandfather and then inquired about the whip lady.
Nice to meet you as well, young man. It's nice to see people willing to join the good fight when it's not their own neck, when it's not their neck of the woods that's on the line.
I have a crush.
And as for Giselda, I do not know. Wasn't my area to question. I needed fighters, not
Lovers.
Fair enough. I heard we could
But-
kill things, but I don't know about getting naked in the woods.
stories for drinks. I've had plenty of times where I was naked in the woods too. So
And
For
Draxon
now,
underneath his
let's-
helmet just kind of grimaces a little bit.
I was waiting for that face palm.
and it was and but that's for a different time. After we're done cleaning up here, we're heading back to where I assume you found out where I was because of.
Tashani was about to like gauge out emotions until she hears that comment and then just shakes her head.
Takes about 2 more minutes, and Horby comes back and is pridefully like walking his straight line in this just he's hotboxing the entire street with holy smoke.
Holy smokes, man!
Talking
That's
about
what
that
we used to
holy
call
dog.
it too.
That's that holy dank.
But he comes
Smells like
back
home.
and Guy, while you are looking, the things that were floating in the air have descended rapidly. They do not take the smoke well.
I'm going to relay that information to the group.
Good. Looks like at least we can clear this area so there's no risk of further infection at the moment.
Hearing that the spores don't like the magic, don't like the divine magic, Lightfoot just kind of looks at one of his potions of healing in slight thought.
Put that in your
Yeah.
pipe and smoke it.
Put that in your sensor and smoke it. Um,
Healing
Right.
healing smoke bombs.
as you are slowly gathering and heading back to the previous central point, the makeshift headquarters for this front. The most of the same runners are still bouncing from one area to another, doing the work that you saw them doing before. Several of the people that were standing and just pointing have changed out, but the giant that is was it a giant? That was the first one. Off the top of my head, I'm struggling. The
This one.
individual
It was the guy with the weird eye that looked through the wall.
he is still there. He is currently pointing several people in a direction and notices as your group and your grandfather's group arrive at the same time. There's
How much?
a crooked smile that forms across his face.
How much time has passed?
Less than 8 minutes?
Okay. Let me know when we hit the 10-minute mark.
Okay.
Dashani, should I come down?
Probably a good idea.
Okay. And Baron will just run down the side of the building.
You reach the ground and you rush up behind the rest of the group and join rank.
Hell of a shot there, Baron.
Which one?
All of them.
It was interesting.
Squawk missed you and your bell.
But
Ding.
listen,
Hand squawk a taco.
we're not currently in a rather midst of danger. You guys, this is my grandfather, Iro.
Nice to meet each of you.
Alright, just
He
kinda
is
nods
not
his head.
he is not standing like when you first saw him at the front line of that battle. He is hunched down. He is now only like 4 foot. And he's craning over the this cane that that some of you had watched that he had collapsed down out of the great hammer that he was smashing things with, and he's just kind of huddled forward. Nice to meet each of you.
Lightfoot gives like a slight performer's bow. Pleasure to meet you as well.
I know precious little about each of you, as my grandson has told me a little bit, but I'm hoping that he has told you enough about what's going on here. Kind of looks up and down the Minotaur,
Mhm.
but I suppose that some of you are prepared for certain things.
That's what we spent most of our time doing, was preparing for this event.
Who did
Made
we
sh-
lose?
Buddha.
Unfortunate. Okay.
Um, but we made sure that each new addition to our group was as best outfitted as we could possibly get them for what we had in the time that we had. And then made our way here.
Welcome back.
It's been more and more harrying.
Like I said before, we dropped off supplies. We brought fresh water, medicine, non-perishable foods. Distributed a little bit here and there as we've passed through to make sure people were okay. But
He reaches down, rustles in a pack, and kind of, as you see, like tiredness rolling over him, he takes out a familiar bottle to you and pulls something out and puts it in his mouth and dry swallows it and puts the bottle back. Okay. The tiredness in his eyes is gone.
so what's the next plan of action?
Well, there's only two or three things we have been doing in the areas that have been infected from the refugees. We've been clearing out the dead. If the entire ward was too overrun for us to take care of, we've been collapsing the entry points so that they couldn't get out. And lastly, we're doing search and rescue for those who might not have been infected and boarded themselves up. Once we have one ward secured, we move to the next. This is my third one.
Okay.
Heard story that several of the others have already fallen. And, well, with all of the wards having been forced to be active, it's no surprise that some of those from the surface weren't able to, or were able to hide symptoms until it was too late.
Ari's going to
Um,
pull out his little notebook, look at him, and ask, "Do you mind telling me what these symptoms are?"
I can give you a full breakdown of from the point of infection to through the end of stage 4.
That would
You're good.
be most appreciated.
Immediately after infection, the Hard to classify exactly what it is, but it acts like a fungus. But it's mineral and it's necrotic. It seems to be a semblance of all three. I can only think of one real source, and that's long dead. But upon infection, the living being begins to dry out as the moisture is pulled from them, and they wither at a pace that is painful. Stage 2 is death. Stage 3, they rise as a withered husk, and they begin to intake the moisture from around them. If they strike you, they can infect you. If they strike you, they are going to be sucking the moisture from your body with just contact. Fourth stage.
How quick is the transformation?
From first stage to death
Hmm.
depends on how hardy they were in life.
All right.
The average farmer seems to last no more than 2 minutes. The
Maybe I
hard,
shouldn't have come back down here.
the hardy warriors, I've seen several that weren't cured that lasted several days.
Guys, gonna pipe up. What god did you guys piss off to start all this?
This is not the work of the gods. I've only seen one thing in my history from way far out, and it was dead when I saw it.
Lightfoot's mind flashes back to the gypsy of his world before he left. As his eyes just kind of widen a little bit.
We thought something was dead, but that part of that world doesn't exist anymore.
Shun's gonna kind of.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt your explanation. I just wanted to get an idea of the timeline of events.
By all means.
Ari just kind
Uh,
of looks up and goes, "No, that was my next question. Thank you." And you just see him just scribbling more notes as he just
there's
expectantly looks up.
an almost random amount of time of staying dead before they rise. It can be anywhere from an hour to days. Seemingly no rhyme or reason. Stage 3. Until they have become fully bloated, there's no real time scale. It's how much moisture and how much life they can suck out of their victims. One of the terrifying things is it's not just humanoids, it's not just animals. Plants are infected. Which brings up how a world with undead plants that are exploding and sporing the air, how would you be able to breathe for long? But
And you guys are down here.
that's a good portion of why the surface was evacuated. Mostly evacuated. There are some stubborn mages that think they can hole up for long enough for this to blow over. It won't. This doesn't go away
After
without being fixed.
after he finishes his explanation and everything while he's talking to the others, Ari is just reading over the notes, and I, like, personally, me over the table,
Mhm.
had a twinge, and so I'm gonna do it and roll a history check to see if this sounds like anything Ari may have encountered either on his world or through his readings, because it like just
Okay.
sounds familiar to him, but he can't quite place it where. And that
Go
was
ahead
a 26.
and give me that D100 roll.
Uh, where'd it go? Oh, duh, it's in front of my face. 88.
Been doing too much math today. I'm not doing more math.
And while they're discussing all this, guy's gonna go over closer to Giselda and kind of lean over. So those whips, like those.
I'll be right back.
So those whips, you want to use them on me sometime, pretty lady?
Guy has got a gun.
When he said that they hold up, I was gonna ask if they were Floridians.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, these galaxy dice are rolling really well for me. I love it.
I have returned. Sorry about the wait.
He's all good. Welcome back.
There were two other things, and then I'm going to start with the history lesson and then with the flirting.
Okay.
So, uh,
I'd like to throw something in there too at some point after the history lesson.
okay.
Same.
So the third stage is the safest point to end them. They don't burst if they haven't been sufficiently gorged. But at any point when they have entered their fourth stage, if they are too full or if they have been reduced to a point where they cannot fight any longer, they burst seconds later. And spores are released into the air as you've seen.
Hmm.
Most of the ones that we've seen on the surface that have come to any of the entry points have been out long enough that they have gotten to the gorge state. They're ready to burst when they drop. Some of the ones down here, the husks, we can get to them. It's when entire groups have been gathering and their victims have not yet risen that we have so many that are gorged, like you just saw.
Can they feed off each other?
Not that I've seen. The history check. You said 26, correct?
Yes.
Very similar to the actual feeling you're having. There is just a tickle of information. You know it's just escaping you. It's infuriating how close, but you can't put any specifics to this thought. Sorry, for something that intense, that's a minimum DC 30.
No, you're good. You're good.
Um, listening to all of them talk with his grandfather and hearing his grandfather mention the one comment about, the mages being holed up, waiting, trying to wait for it to pass, but it's not going to pass until it's fixed. He looks to he looks to Iroh and goes, "You've mentioned that quite a few times when we've talked before about finding a fix. Is there anything on that front that you guys have learned? I know you've been busy with maintaining what wards you can keep up and which ones you have to shut down, but has anybody gathered any information onto a potential fix for this situation?"
We've only got 2 researchers. Everybody else has been thrown at the fronts. Very few magically or scientifically inclined have actually made it down here. Most stayed in their little towers.
Of course they did. Pompous assholes.
We have one.
Hey,
We have one that made it here day before the fall. 2 days before I arrived. He's not so bad. Uh, he works with time mostly. And then there's this scientist that, if we're lucky, there's only an explosion once a day. They're working together. They've ruined almost all of the glass in that ward, so we're kind of leaving them to one ward by themselves.
But they're
That
working on a they're working on
sounds like
a means
good
to an end.
They're trying to find anything. They're the the scientist is the one that found that the strange wood that is grown in Ward 18 has an effect similar to your smoke when it's burned. It's a it's a temporary fix, but there are people slowly milling an entire grove just so that we can survive.
Well, sooner or later that grove is going to give out.
Yeah,
And holding out each ward is all fine and good, but at the end of the day, it's only going to last so long.
we only have
We,
so much room, and there are so many that came.
right.
We can only really afford 3 wards not to be filled out of the 180 down here. 85. 185 entire wards. 5 of them maximum are not being used.
What if you threw
Uh,
some of that wood on my fires? Would that have worked?
it burns the same. It's just that's not at an entry point. We've been focused on that. We can deal with what's inside. It's just if we lose a ward, we make sure it doesn't spread.
Right. My thoughts are maintaining the current situation and making sure that it doesn't progressively worsen at a rate that you can't control is one thing. But we also need to think about how we are going to fix this. So,
You said that Revolver helped you get some papers.
yes. Um,
Hmm.
he will,
Maybe if you get some of that research over to the researchers, they can actually do something with it.
right. Um,
I mean, I won't turn down a book, but it's not going to do me any good being on the front line.
right. And doesn't do me any good having it. You know me, I'm meant more for tearing things apart than I am for putting things back together.
You're meant for finding a way.
Mm.
You always have been.
The tower is also working on things. They were not able to send anything else with us more than the heaping scrolls that we were able to acquire, but they were working on things on their end to help hopefully remedy the situation, given the information that you and Revolver had passed back and forth. So what ward are the scientists in?
They're in 49. They're right next to the central, where most of the fucking royals and bureaucrats and all that, they're holed up trying to figure out what they do with their people. It's been 5 days. They don't have a goddamn clue.
Okay, I'm going to ask you because the person in the first ward told me that Ward 50 was probably the best bet for what I've got. Where would be the best place for the supplies that we brought with us to be distributed and not be held up and hoarded by people who are only out for their own selves?
Distribution is also found in 50, but probably 49.
Okay.
It's still close to the center, and well, it's not like the paper jockeys are going to use every bit of your resources without thinking about the people.
Uh, I'd be concerned if they used everything that we brought with us.
I'm sorry, you said you have little people that write on papers?
I like that you got distracted from the potential flirting with that comment.
But yeah, now we can.
Do you have anyone who is strictly firing arrows on your front lines?
There are very few archers that have made it down here.
All right.
There's probably some in some of the other wards. I haven't worked with any of them.
Okay.
I have found more that those that use a shield have a tendency to live longer.
Would
Don't
it be
get
possible?
overwhelmed as much.
Would it be possible to get a map of the wards and their layouts?
He kind of looks over at the guy with the blank eyes. We get a map of the different wards, connection points, the like, and he gives a nod, points at one guy, beckons him over, doesn't so much as say a physical word. And the person runs out the door and down the block.
Okay. You gonna do guys flirting?
Yep. You walk up to Giselda, and she is oiling the whips and recurling them before you get to her.
As his toes curl.
So Giselda, is that like a family name, or did you earn it?
Well, My father's the one that gave it to me, so I guess it's family name. Ties it off, pulls out another whip, starts oiling it.
Just something about those whips and that oil. So how long you been here?
Down here, I was down here about a week when the first started coming down. I was
Not,
with a caravan.
not to interrupt it. It's a dire situation. I'm really sorry to hear that, but you didn't happen to lose anybody significant recently, have you?
Only one of my girlfriends.
Denied.
Did
Um,
you say multiple girlfriends?
can I gauge out what she's feeling?
Uh, there is a there's a go ahead and give me an insight.
Mm-hmm. That is a 22.
She is heavily masking a very deep sadness. With like just dutiful and like running through the paces, she's cleaning her gear to keep herself from settling in.
Dashani's going to walk over and place a hand on her arm and just dole out a little bit of a sense of comfort. Not like an overwhelming amount, just a slight take the edge off amount of comfort.
It's at this moment that the two of you that are paying attention to her realize that that was the 8th whip she has oiled, and she still has 2 left on her hips. She pauses.
I was about to say Ari's paying attention to nothing but just furiously thumbing through his notebook. And then once he gets through the end of that, he throws it in his pack and pulls out a book and starts thumbing through it, trying to figure out where it is he knows these creatures from and why they seem so familiar.
And Guy
We'll
noticing
come back around.
Johnny put her hand on his shoulder, he's gonna kind of tap Squawk on the foot and have him do a little backflip on his shoulder, just to kind of lighten the mood.
She
I will
stops
hear.
her motion.
Sorry. Go ahead.
She, with the hand on the shoulder, the display of trying to entertain, she stops her motion. Yeah.
I will be right back.
Defia was my latest and 7th girlfriend.
Guy will hear in his head, this is not the one to pursue. Not at this time.
Hearing that she has recently lost someone dear, Lightfoot would kind of walk up and in a rather genuine tone. Well, as long as you remember the good times, live on in your heart. They're never truly gone. As he just kind of gives a slight understanding smile as if he's been there.
And Guy's
She gives
gonna
a
regard the Shawnee inside of his head. She's not even running.
Shani, were you going to try and push deeper than just your initial imprint?
Um, no, I think that I don't want to over
Exert.
not overexert.
Mm.
I don't want to cross boundaries. This is still someone's private emotions that I don't know. So I'm kind of keeping it somewhat surface level, but
That's
allowing some
why
comfort to kind of take the edge off.
I was just trying to gauge how much information to give.
Yep.
So she has pretty much stopped her action. She's kind of the puffiness that comes with crying too much.
Mm,
You know the sullen features that happen after that dries away.
mm,
She doesn't have sunken features, but getting this close and her finally stopping moving, you can finally see that he ran out of tears. Now she's trying to do something about it.
Deshani is going to just
And
kind of
she gives light, gentle nods to each of you.
just a slight sigh, and we're going to do what we can to keep this from happening again as much as we can.
And when it's all said and done, we should definitely go get a drink and talk about your obsession with whips.
Deshani's going to kind of
They're effective.
Lightfoot would have given the same gentle nod back to her as he pulls out his lute and just starts to play a light, heartfelt tune.
They're effective in battle if you know how to use them. They're effective at making an alert, an alarm. They can be fun in the right situation.
Oh, we definitely getting drinks.
Lightfoot skips a note hearing that for a second before continuing on with his tune. He doesn't say anything, he just kind of slightly shakes his head before continuing. In the back of his mind, nope, now's not the time to comment.
At this point, guy's gonna kind of get he senses the room. He knows it's not the time to kind of talk about this, especially with everything they've been facing. And he's gonna go ahead and turn to Jackson and be like, "Well, does that mean we're going to be swallowed again and then regurgitated again?"
ew.
Probably,
What are you talking about?
probably a couple more times, depending on
Oh,
how what is connected.
The moment he says, "What are you talking about?" Lightfoot just looks over, not missing a beat with his tune, just, "Don't worry about it, buddy. Less you know, the better."
fine. Fine. Everything's fine.
Weird mode of
Mm.
transport. Let's say that and leave it a done.
The different armed soldiers go sit up on cots and start to wind down. They've they're taking their own little smoke baths from some of the bark that has been just laid on metal trays that they're you and I know that Horby stuff worked fine, but they also have the fact that not everybody knows how that works, and they just know that this process will keep them from getting infected or infecting others. So you see them start to do that once Most of them have cleaned their equipment and gotten it ready. The Iroh turns and offers his hand out, and the messenger that ran out comes back and hands uh, a a roll of paper to Iroh, and then moves back off to the other one of the other walls. Thank you. And he unrolls it, and you see on this map, it looks like a honeycomb from if you cut a honeycomb in half. The wards are pretty much circular. They are set in hexagon pattern. They are usual. There are thin blue lines that run from one to another in not random, but not symmetrical and not directly next to each other. You take that to be the worm routes. Uh, there are a few red ones that go straight from the center to the very outside corners. There are a few yellow ones that go from that make a perfect hexagon that all work out to the corners as well. And then there is a green one that comes from very specific non-corners that all come to the center. Each one of them is numbered, and they are the numbers look glyphed as if they are some sort of magic. You look at it in one direction and it comes up as one language you speak. You turn it slightly and it comes up in another.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pour over this map with him. Have him point out the ones that they know of that have already fallen and if they've collapsed the access points to. Particularly also paying attention to where 49 is in comparison to us here at 8.
You still have your. You always used to carry around ink. You still do?
Always. And I'll pull out
Here,
the
I'll mark them.
I'll
He
hold the
black.
vial of ink and give him the quill so he can.
He dips it and he blacks out the ones that have fully collapsed. He carefully circles the ones that are reported to have infection and are either being dealt with or are getting ready to collapse. He also crosses out any of the colored lines that are no longer able to be used. Keep in mind that this doesn't have the level roads that are normally between the different wards. That's because those just kind of honeycomb around them.
Okay.
They're slower, but you know, highways and all.
Yeah. Looking at the
Those
map,
are all. Go
are
ahead.
there any any paths, whether it like any of the worm paths that lead from here that would get us close to 49 with, possibly having to take a few of the the level roads?
There is one from two wards over. They are from there you can reach the center.
and just locking this all in and committing it all. Trying to get as familiar as I can with the map.
Okay. Um, you can take a couple, or your grandfather kind of says, okay, the road between here and there would probably take about 5-6 hours on foot, and then you could take one of the worm buses in all the way.
How big are the tunnels? Are they similar to the size of the ones that we traversed from the up above down to the first ward?
Wider. They're about 60 feet across. They were the trade routes between wards, wagons on a regular basis.
Perfect.
Approximately 2 lanes each way, so yeah, 60 feet with room to spare.
Perfect. It'll actually potentially make our travel just a little easier.
Kind of gives you
Need the cart?
a half-size look.
Yeah, we may need the cart, Baron.
Okay. And Baron walks out the door and starts unfolding and setting up the cart.
So, is there any? He looks to the taller, half-blind guy. Do we have anything that needs to be dealt with right now? Any scouts reports? There's a brief silence, and then Iroh kind of nods. There's only a couple of small groups that have popped up. I can deal with one of them at a time if they don't gather. Is there... Are you looking to stay here, or are you looking to move things forward for this?
Well, so
Before
here's
he answers, can I gauge out the room at large and see if I sense any illness?
Go ahead and give me that the medicine check for me.
and one over the table question, Tormy. How long has it been since we touched down on this planet, this world?
With all of your running to get to the entrance, you're sitting at the entrance, you're getting into here, the hour bus ride. It's been about 24 hours, give or take.
Mm.
However, Baron thinks he ran for a day and a half.
That was 18.
You're gauging around. It doesn't seem like most people are having like the reactions that you've been explained about this particular disease, fungus, that thing. You do take notice that there are a couple of people that seem to have like normal diseases. Like there's a couple of respiratory problems here. There's somebody who is sickly like white and doesn't seem to be keeping water down. There's somebody else who is just sweating bullets.
Adraxon, thinking on the question that was posed to him by his grandfather, looks back to the others. What do you all think?
Ari just kind of pipes up and goes, "Whatever you feel is best. I'm here for the ride."
Knowing that she just sensed out like these people have other illnesses going on. There, you can tell that a lot of this group is exhausted. Um, they probably can I tell if they? I mean, I'm guessing not like gauging emotions, but just looking around, you can tell that they haven't gotten much rest, right?
Yeah, think of the command tent and the triage tent being the same tent in
Mhm.
in the first days of a war. That shouldn't happen for several reasons.
Yeah, I'm gonna just turn and say, I think it might be a good idea to better clear this area and leave less of a burden here because they're not going to last much longer with the strain that's being put on them currently.
Um, has it been an hour yet since the end of the fight? Or have we are we still within that hour?
We're still within that hour, and this has been well past that 2 minutes that you asked about.
Okay. So at the 10-minute mark, it would have been probably why he was waiting for the map
Mhm.
and stuff. He just kind of stops and slows for a bit. For a moment, he pulls his blade off of his back and kind of just leans against it on the ground, kind of using it as a support as the effects of the stim pack that he activated during the battle wear off. But he'll look to Horby in this instance, take the sensor and walk around and kind of spread it around the room. Give these people a bit of relief where we can. I think you're right. We should probably clear this a little bit more for them, Deshani. I also want to make sure that we get the information that we maybe held on to the people who are going to be able to put it to the most use.
Guy's gonna
Yes.
look at Deshani and wink. I'm just here to kill stuff and talk to the ladies, and I'm all out of talking.
Well, I think you've gotten a good look of how much there's going to be to kill if that was just a small section.
The smoke starts to fill the area, and Horbeat starts taking his rounds. The only two that I think have the perception to have a chance here can Adraxon and Ari please give me perception checks.
Yas. Give me a sec here. Make sure I got
Yeah.
the right.
Are there any
one.
bonuses that have been spread throughout the group that might help? I'm just checking.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Wow. Okay, that's a 19 on the die, so that's a 28.
And mine is a 23.
I
Yeah,
have an advantage.
23.
Would I be lumped in that? My wisdom is 19.
Sure. You can go ahead and give it a try.
And then I have to. Oh, I almost forgot. I have to. Max HP is.
Should have just rolled a regular die. I don't know what the digital thing's doing. You can go ahead.
So the two of you take notice as the smoke rolls around a form that almost looks like it's not quite there. And it looks like somebody who's fairly humanoid is leaning against one of the walls, but they are blending in so ridiculously well. It takes the two of you paying attention to that area that guy also lets his eyes draw over there and spots it once the smoke has started to whirl past. Buddha, would you like to explain what your character looks like?
Right now, my character has 3 horns, one off right off of the nose, yellow eyes. Normally my skin tone is scaly with different greens and yellows in it. I have 3 fingers, not including the thumb. I have 2 in the front and 1 in the back, and my thumb. I am clothed in rough leather garb, and I have a look of arrogance on everybody else. Just about time you noticed me.
To be fair, you are not the easiest fellow to be spotted without actual like expertise when you don't want to be
Well, where
spotted.
I'm from, I am easily seen, but on this world, no. And I kind of give a wave to everybody. Hi. To get more attention.
He looks to his grandfather. You know this one?
He came into the ward just after the first attacks happened here.
Hmm.
I haven't really caught his name.
Ari just looks to Iroh and goes, "So he's safe?"
He's not one of the things that we've been killing.
Deshani's gonna sense him out.
He's also not one of the ones that, stepped up to assist when fighters were called upon. So that could say something as well.
Ari is gonna lower the finger he's been pointing, and you see just a small little blue azure flame just go out. Like, okay.
He did a little bit of scouting work for us yesterday. I don't know what else they've been putting him to.
Fair enough.
What do I sense from the newbie?
What do they sense from you?
That'd be you, Buddha.
What emotions are running through your head?
Especially considering you almost took a 3rd level fireball to the face.
I'm guessing I sense the arrogance.
Buddha?
Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. You're getting arrogance, kind of a really shitty attitude, and not really wanting to be here, but The highest paid person. I'm here.
But
My name's
not. She's not getting a sense of anything that would cause concern. Where I'm going to tell him to shoot the fireball at you.
my name's Guy. This is Squawk, and we like tacos.
Maybe. Not enough is given about the emotions, just mostly generally being a dick and arrogance.
Baron's head
It's,
pops back in the door. Did someone say tacos?
it's another Balon.
Just Guy talking about him and Squawk liking tacos.
Oh, because I haven't eaten in like 2 days. Are we gonna
Yeah.
eat sometime soon?
We should probably eat and maybe think about figuring out a change of pace to get us all rested up, put up watch for those who we've been running for probably about 24 hours nonstop.
Ari just kind of raises his hand. I volunteer the newbie.
Well, I don't feel quite comfortable yet lumping them in with the rest of us.
I was
And
gonna.
Shawnee's
Are
going
we
to shake her head no.
So, but I know I could use a rest, and I know the rest of you are exhausted, Beer, and you have napped, but you haven't actually rested. So, we can probably set up.
You guys can rest while I watch. As long as I'm not overexerting myself, I'll be able to recharge, and I don't sleep.
Right, but if something were to happen, I mean, well, they do have their watch. But I want to make sure we're more capable of dealing with the recent exhaustion than these guys who have constantly been exhausted to the point of falling down. So I want to make sure that at least a couple of us are up and aware while the others rest, and then we can change off you being the constant one. That way, if something happens, somebody's always here. Besides
Ari-
you, obviously.
Ari pulls out his violence and he turns it into his longbow. He says, I got first watch. Kashani and I can handle it. You guys get some rest.
What were you? Sorry, Torm. I know you were going to
No.
say something.
You all figure things out. I'm gonna go probably hit 2 or 3 of the smaller points and come back. So I should be back before you wake.
Do you need anything to take with you?
I just took one of my resting pills 5 minutes ago. Gonna be fine.
I'm gonna pull out. I know it's unlikely, but I am going to pull out 5 of the scrolls and hand them to him. And as I hand them over, I know you've got your pills, but in case something happens, one you know what these do. Greater restoration, they'll clear you of disease, and if you happen to stumble upon anybody else who's been in hiding who may need this, you have them on you. So you're not risking bringing them back here.
What's the name of the one with the sensor?
Horby.
If I come back here and I need people to be cleared, I'll call for him.
Okay.
I'll take 2. You keep the rest.
All right. So I
And
adjusted everything.
he shuffles out, kind of looking like every other old man you've ever seen, hunched,
Before
almost
he
doubled
leaves.
over. He gets to the door and turns to his right. The fuck is that?
You said the fuck is that to the cart outside,
Yep.
But not the fact that most of us are wearing. Okay, I got you.
Yep.
His grandfather's in, or his grandson's in a fucking, basically Spartan suit, and you've got, tech on everybody in this group, but the cart's the one thing that gets what the fuck.
Yeah.
Biren's seen Iroh come out. He says, "Are you going back out?"
Yeah. Most of the rest of you need rest, and well, I just took something that'll make it so that I don't have to.
Well, hang on. And he reaches into his bag and he pulls out a little box and opens it and hands him a red bead and a blue bead.
Takes them. Solver.
Huh?
Pulver is what he said.
Sure.
That little thing is still alive, huh?
Yep.
He puts both in his mouth and lets them chase down. Will do. It's good enough to make up for the other parts that the pill that I took earlier doesn't. Thank you.
Yep.
You're Biren, right?
Yep.
Good shot. Sharp eyes. You keep it up. What is this?
It's my cart. Come look. And he'll open the door and show him around the inside.
Don't
By
forget
the-
to turn off the sound system for him.
By the way, and I do believe I don't remember putting it on mine because I don't see it, but one of us had them. We were given a jar of beads that would act as meals for us, were we not?
But
Didn't?
Biren had a little box that he procured.
No, I
with
know.
3 red and 3 blue.
But I'm asking because I wanted to make sure that it got added or it was already added to somebody's sheet. And if not, I would put it on mine. Just needed to make sure I do did I write it down? Shit, I thought I added didn't get added.
I said it was a jar. I didn't tell you how much was in it.
Oh, okay.
I knew that was where you were heading with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great minds think alike. So, as we're all deciding on, settling down and stuff, he's gonna pull out the jar and kind of pass it around to those of us present. It should suffice us as far as food goes. One is all you'll need.
Guy's
Biren
gonna take,
eats 2.
and he's gonna walk over and hand Zelda one.
She takes it, eyes it suspiciously. What am I supposed to do with a marble?
It said to eat it.
Squishes it a little bit suspiciously, puts it in her mouth, bites down, and then down the hatch. Her face changes just a little bit of like, that's weird. But a full stomach's a full stomach.
Enjoy your senzu bean.
After consuming the bead, Tormy, is there any oil left
Which kind of oil?
from the fires that Baron had set?
Why aren't we
I
back at the
mean,
other?
you would have to go back out and go gather some, but yeah, that was never cleaned away. It was just the shockwaves put out the fires.
Okay.
There's some still on Horby's hooves.
Oh, he's better. I'm gonna get a kind of thoughtful expression, and I'm going to walk over to Corby and say, "Excuse me," and pull up a little bit of the oil from his hose and step outside. And when I step outside, I'm gonna kind of put it on the floor, step back, and I'm going to shoot a sacred flame at it.
Okay.
Does the flame catch?
Sacred Flame is radiant, not fire.
Hmm.
It doesn't do the same thing, so it doesn't catch to fire.
Okay.
Damn, we were hoping you would go with the roll of cool on that one.
Yeah, because the rest of the campaign hasn't already been that.
So after Adraxan eats his bead, he puts the rest of them away after everybody's gotten what they need, and he's going to eye the new one on the wall, and judging from the way that they hold themselves, he doesn't know all the shit that Deshani felt out, but he just kind of adjusts himself a little bit, puts the blade back on his up on his shoulder rather than using it as a um walking stick, leaning post, whatever you want to call it. You look like you've got a chip on your shoulder. Are you here to help or are you here to get in the way?
I mean, that depends.
Depends on
It all
what.
depends on the coin.
The way I see it, you've got two options. You can stay where you're at or be on your way. But coin's the least of your worries. It's either you help out or you die, one way or another.
Also, we have tacos.
No, we
Oh,
don't have
and yet
tacos.
you don't offer them to me. How dare you?
I
And
mean, we know where
I
to
do
get.
not care life or death. Coin is the only thing that matters to me.
Weird concept considering how often you've worked with the Gateway.
Right?
The Gateway works mostly in trade, but the concept can transfer over here considering that this economy does work in coin.
Got a
Also,
little dragon horde want. He's got a dream.
We
She.
don't have a ragtag pub filled with land pirates for that song to happen. Sorry.
And to the ones that were on watch,
Ari changes his bow back into a violin and I've got a dream. I've got a dream.
Thank you.
Lightfoot starts flashing his flashlight at his own suit when the singing starts.
Oh, disco ball. Okay.
Disco
There
ball
is
style.
suddenly a rave in the middle of a forward
Quick.
operating base.
He
Yes.
kind of
You just hear the music from the cart outside bumping.
Adraxan just kind of rubs his brow. I mean, whatever to pass the time. I can't speak to. He looks back to the newcomer. I can't speak to coin and payment, but I'm assuming you want to get off this rock when this is all said and done.
that would be appreciative, but I guess I could work with that for right now.
Way it runs, you help us prove actually helpful. we can help you get back to where is it that you come from? Here?
Don't ever talk about those words again. Do not ever send me home. As a slight anger and aggression comes straight.
Okay. So, hearing that change in tone, you now have a bow leveled at you with an arrow drawn.
Adraxon just holds up his hand to Ari.
I was gonna say, Lightfoot is also now menacingly holding up his loot.
All you hear is
Bash him with the loot.
All I can picture is, okay, instead of playing it, I've turned it around, got it by the neck, and I'm using it as a bat.
I was gonna say he does that road to El Dorado.
It's fine. Don't worry about. Just put the bow down.
Slowly releases the drawstring.
So if you don't want to go home, where is it that you're heading? Because I'm guessing with that statement, you didn't come from here, so you had to have come from somewhere to get here.
You're right. Sorry for the aggression. My home is not a place for anybody to want to ever go. It's extremely savage and backwards compared to this place.
Have you been up to the
In
surface
general.
yet?
There's
I
a
mean-
surface.
Yeah, there's a surface. I don't recommend it. At least not by yourself. It's
We can feed him to the bird.
I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. That thing was terrifying. But if you have a destination in mind, like I said, you help us and we can figure out a way to get you to that destination. Whether it be staying here or coming with us to wherever our next thing is. But the current ambiance that you're putting off isn't really something that sings teamwork. So maybe a slight shift, if possible. Something a little more friendly.
Sorry, my home world is not exactly friendly and not exactly kind to things like me.
This isn't your homeworld, right?
No. Over
Okay.
the table, no.
No, I was asking that in
I-
character.
And also in character, no.
Well, then
I
the outlooks on your homeworld mean nothing here. You're not there. You may have had to deal with that type of stuff in the past, but here you don't have to deal with that. You put forth a helping hand and do what's right and what's needs to be done, and everybody looks out for everybody.
Lightfoot actually steps up after hearing about the savage world. Yeah, since I joined the group, I haven't even been threatened by a rock slide. So no matter how bad your home world was, he's kind of nervous about the new character, but he's still trying to put on the jovial look of friendship and such as he kind of fumbles over his.
Traxon looks over to Lightfoot. I'll just be thankful you were kind of in the hotel room, or you didn't have to deal with the living mine. Living rock slides.
Oh no, he was there. He was having PTSD flashbacks.
The small goat creature that is trying to be jovial for you, they are wearing the rainbow vomit that is a ghillie suit that is digital pixelated every possible bright color there is, and then filament wire out of that, and he's flashing a light at himself, so the filament wire is also brightening everything and casting little. It is a lot.
Little swivels of light.
It is while he's doing it, it's hard to pay attention to the things around him. But him, clear as fucking day.
Dear
ahead,
Jesus,
Beat.
he's a glowing disco ball strobe light.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Beats?
I was just gonna say, guy's gonna go and approach Dasani while he sees everything that's going on and ask her what she feels about the new guy.
We'll assume I'm back inside now. I gave up on the sacred flame. Dashani's
feel
gonna
like-
try to.
You feel like
Yep.
actual fire magic might ignite it.
Yep. I don't want to ignite it with real fire. I'm gonna look at Guy and kind of half a frown, shake my head a little bit. It's not a bad feeling, but it's not a good feeling either.
So what you're saying is the rides with him and Balin are gonna be
They're either gonna love each other or they're gonna hate each other. But
also. Guy has Deshani's attention. He's going to ask her if she knows of any way that he can stay in contact with Giselda because he feels a kindred spirit. And he knows they have different means of communication because of everything he's seen so far. But he kind of feels like he needs to get that out there before he loses the momentum to connect with her.
so she'll kind of, again, a little bit of a half frown. If you had a means of ascending stone, but she's in a lot of pain and feeling a lot of loss right now, so I don't know if that's something
I
she'll
don't
be able.
I want to respect her, just so you know.
The best bet would be if there was a way to find a ascending stone, but she looks around. Doesn't seem a high priority for them to create those right now with everything going on.
I'm gonna pretend like I know what a sending stone is and trust you. I'll look into it.
You're making up words.
Draxon, you are in a close enough proximity that if you want to have heard this, you could.
Okay.
Because I know your passive is absolutely stupid.
Oh, and it just gets better and better.
Yeah.
He'll look, catching the wind of the conversation.
Right back.
He'll look to he'll look back over his shoulder. I might be able to help you with that guy.
I would greatly appreciate that. She seems like a kindred spirit.
Oh,
I
are
like her
you
well.
are you meaning just being able to hold a conversation over a distance with her?
Yes, just to check in after everything's all said and done, we'll move on. I don't know where she'll be, but I just want to make sure she's okay.
Um if we don't see her before we leave, I've got a vial that I can lend you that I used to keep in contact with my grandfather while we were in the gateway. So that is something that you can use to communicate with her, check in, that type of thing. But it only is able to be used once a day, so depending on our current situations that we find ourselves in after the fact, it may be needed for other things, but it is up for use whenever it's not.
Gotcha. And the goat guy didn't make this, right?
No, this one I got from Tolver.
So it's safe. Gotcha.
Ooh,
I
shots
haven't
fired.
I haven't had
Hope
any
he can't
issues.
hear that because that would have hurt his feelings. He's trying
And
his best here, damn it.
The first thing they told Guy was don't trust any file you handed him. I didn't do that.
And
well,
yet, so
I
far,
can
every
speak
file
from
he has given has been good and worked accordingly.
Uh-huh.
Atraxin kind of laughs a little bit. I've tried Lightfoot's potions. They're not volatile. You should be okay.
Do it.
And Lightfoot does hear this because you just look over and Ari is just kind of standing next to everybody, acting nonchalant, but you can see his megaphone is just kind of pointed in his direction.
Just troll face.
But Adraxin will move his attention back to the individual on the wall. So do we have a deal? You help us figure out what's going on with this place and clear it out, and we'll figure out where you're going next.
Sure. I draw my weapon
Can I
and I
sense that?
hold it up. No aggression whatsoever.
Okay.
Seeing that somebody was trying to make a fire, I shoot my gun with one of my magical shells and it causes firebolt.
No, no.
Great.
Awesome.
The moment you do that, Lightfoot immediately pulls out a canister, seeing his friend's fear, and throws the canister where the shot lands. It's his dispelling canister. It's just the moment he hears the moment he hears his friend go no, and it's just nope.
I love the fact that you're using resources.
He
Right.
made it for a reason. He's just trying to find the proper times to use them.
Now would have not been that time, but
No.
Well, he can always
Especially
more.
because had you not
Third.
done that, Ari would have just thrown counterspell out.
Well,
Well, he's also still trying to test
also
out
a
his
tiny
ability.
little bit of oil, so we could have stomped it out, or I could have just done a cantrip to remove it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right, because it is only a tiny amount, and
It's
Ari
literally
is
pulled
9
off
foot
of the
2,
boot.
so
Is the Draxon's ability that absorbs the magic still active anyways?
it has to be targeting him.
Oh, okay.
And it
But does it in fact work? Like, does the canister work?
Yeah,
Okay. He kind of nods, making a mental note. All right, that one worked. Now we got a guaranteed way.
he looks back to the individual who started the fire. Interesting. Interesting.
several of you have seen guns in some of the shops up on the highway. This doesn't look like any of them.
Deshani, after ensuring the fire is actually out, is gonna look back to the individual. Fire actually feeds the spores. We don't want to deal with fire.
Got done dealing with a whole bunch of it. We don't need any more.
My
We learned
apology. Seemed like you were trying to make fire.
She nods. It was sacred. I was hoping that I'd be able to increase the amount of the radiance to be able to use that effectively, but it didn't work.
Well, we appreciate the attempt. Just next time, try not to kill us.
Giving a slight eye, you know, look at somebody that said that. Well, next time I'll remember that.
All right.
Shawnee, if you would, give me an
Yeah.
Arcana check.
Okay, hold on.
And I believe I asked you to do a thing earlier and forgot to ask you to do a D100 roll. So
Okay.
can you also do that for me?
Well, my Arcana's not great. That was a 12.
Okay.
That was a crappy roll. Okay. There's one, and where's my other one? Right there. Okay. 22.
Okay.
So, do you have a name? Because I doubt you would prefer us to refer to you as stranger all day, the entire time we're working together.
I do, but my name is only given to trust. You can call me by the one I was given. Arisaxa.
One more time.
Ari Saxa.
I'm sorry, did you say you have hairy socks?
Stop.
He's gonna turn back to Ari and be, and then the new Ari, and then Ari, and the new Ari, and scratch her head. Are you related?
Just
Oh,
flat
Mm.
look that just says, "Sister, I will light that fire myself."
So,
I was
Deshani,
completely not
um,
getting the joke.
your
Did-
Arcana check gave you there is a way to do what you were trying to. That oil is not going to do the trick, though.
Okay.
What?
I got it. Okay.
Well,
I got it.
Well, Ari Saxa,
the other oil in our.
Do I know what oil?
You know that it's not that kind of oil. I'll allow you to re-roll the next day if you want
Okay.
to try and dig deeper.
As well.
Ari's gonna just look and say, "You look like you had an idea. Anything I can help with?"
That'll also work.
um.
I have a +8, Dutchy, so I was like, "I'll roll it now."
I mean, I have a +5. It doesn't help when you roll. What was it? A 7?
Oh, gotcha.
Oh. Um. She's gonna look over and pull out our palm, and there's gonna be like a slight blue flame that appears. And she's like, I need to make this much bigger. That oil didn't work, but there's got to be something that will make this grow and become more effective.
Ari just thinks for a minute and says, 1 minute. Pulls out his notebook, starts thumbing through, and is it Arcana you're wanting, Tormy?
Yes, please.
While Ari's looking through
That
that,
is going to be a nice round 22.
There are uh, there's anointment oil that many churches or many temples and churches and the like would have on hand that can be used for fire or radiant.
Holy oil.
Yeah, he just kind of looks at Deshani and says, "You wouldn't happen to know where a temple nearby would be?" You get some anointment
That's
oil
a
and
kind of weird look. I've never been here. Perhaps the Draxon's grandfather would know.
I just figured, with the whole
My
divine thing,
God.
you'd be able to suss one out. But yeah,
was the
all you-
ointments we were given oils or were they creams?
We got sacramental oil.
We got sacramental ointment, is what I was told.
I wrote on my list. It says sacramental oil.
Tormy, which one is it?
It's been a while. I'm seeing oil.
I have oil.
I have ointment, is what I wrote.
Oil.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say the DM has oil. 2 other players have oil. I think you just had a weird day.
Yeah, I might have. Okay, I changed
Yeah,
it.
So he says, he just looks at Deshani and says, I don't know. I figured with the whole divine thing, you'd be able to suss one out. Either way,
Um,
an anointment, oil, something holy that has been blessed would make that about 10 times bigger than the one in your palm.
I don't want to use what I have because I only have one vial.
With
I
that
have 2.
in mind, I would like Deshani to roll one more time. You are going to go with religion.
Okay, doggy.
So my apologies to the new guy. No disrespect. I'm terrible with names. Ask Angel Lady. But what he called? Saska?
Buddha, are you there?
For me, that was a
No.
21.
Okay.
Tell him I'm here. I'm just technical difficulties.
Buddha's there. She's having some technical difficulties. Give me a sec.
Ah.
Um,
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I say, well, you guys do in this land call yourself by your family name, right?
I go by my given name.
Shani's gonna look to RE1 and then back to RE2. I also go by a given name.
My name's way too long to keep repeating, so I've shortened it for time's sake. So that's why I asked.
Oh, my given name is Shoto. My apology. In my land, we say the family name first. Excuse me.
Well, that's gonna make things a little bit easier.
Shani smiles. That's gonna be much
That
like
spell
anything.
that I just posted will help if you guys have access to it.
Nope.
Nice to meet you, Toto.
We have
Heck,
somebody who
oh.
would.
Yeah, Horby.
Mm-hmm. And maybe Deshani with the fact that she's a holy warlock.
No. Nope.
Because we could bless our own oil.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait, can you bless my bolts? My ballista bolts?
I think it's more of turning a liquid or liquid type substance into a holy blessed version of itself.
Could you bless my saliva?
You have Horby, who, while you are not actively fighting anything, can ask him to do things, and I will abide some things for you with him.
Okay. So
and that spell affects 1 pint of liquid at a time per casting.
Oh, geez. That wouldn't exactly work on ballista bolts.
No.
What if he dipped the bolts in the said liquid? Would you allow that?
I mean, he can douse a ballista bolt in a pint of that stuff, and it may or may not apply. He has to fuck around and find out.
Gotcha.
The government
It's
wants
this
to know
group.
all my weapons.
You can certainly try.
Well, but if you think about in like vampire movies, how they'll dip the crossbow bolts in the holy water and then shoot them. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. There is plenty of rule of cool. There is also plenty of, well, that didn't work and now I'm fucked.
Yeah.
so
And
before
I'm sorry,
Horby,
I said that wrong. That didn't work, and now Biren has run off screen. He is now 2 episodes away.
so before Horby goes to take his rest, can I have him try to bless the bit of oil I got off of him?
Yeah.
And then sacred flame that shit.
It takes about an hour because that's how long the cast time is. But he does it, and when you cast sacred flame, it swirls into effect, and the flame, once the cantrip dies away, there's still a golden flame that is just dancing a few inches off of the ground because of just how much you dropped out.
Okay. I'll snuff that out because I don't want to cause any issues. But big smile and be like,
How,
"Oh, that might be
how do you
useful."
snuff it out?
Yeah.
Prestidigitation? Or will that not work?
It's not flame.
Oh. Well,
Ay, ay, ay.
I fucked around and I found out. Hold on. I
Or
can't use
fucking around
that.
and find it out.
As you are scratching your head and kind of like finicking around this, and Iroh finally walks out of the cart, kind of shaking his head slightly, going like, "That's
Isn't it awesome?
some engineering there." He hobbles past, looks.
She's gonna look over at him. You got a torch?
I do.
Can I take the torch? And I'm gonna try to scoop the flame into the torch and put it up on the wall so it just kind of burns away until it burns out.
So you just dab it onto the thing and just wrap it
Yeah,
to
like
the point.
basically wrap the
Okay,
spin the torch until I collect all the flaming oils.
that'll work. Also, help keep a place where people can go looking for us, and yeah, that's good. Uh, me
Sneeze
to
spores that'll work.
points at it. Divine holy oil.
She nods.
Well, the amount that you had down there, you could probably have stomped out, but this is a better use of it.
She nods again.
If you end up with a problem size of it, I'd say kind of similar to a campfire. Toss dirt. It smothers the surface out.
That's good to know, because, that could have been a problem. But right now, that's a
Yeah.
good solution.
Yeah. How much did you put down?
Just a little bit that I snuffed off of his hoof.
That might burn for like another 20 minutes. Nice. There aren't too many magic or holy people down here, so nice to know that we have the support. As he
I
just
mean,
kind of that's the last bit of word that he gives, but he just kind of like slowly, as if letting you have your time to talk, shambles into the dark.
okay. Well, that's one way to extend the holy healing.
With that, does anybody
Jackson,
else have anything right now, or is
Jackson's
everybody
gonna
getting time
go.
to?
Jackson's gonna go to the big, weird-eyed giant and see if there's a spot that they can use for resting up without taking away from those who might need it more.
He kind of does that same high-pitched inhale thought talk to you, and
Mhm.
he relays that behind the cases on the wall behind him, there is a like 20-foot space that you could set up cots or sleep on the floor. There's your cart outside that certainly has safe space. There's a couple of there's a building just across the way that's a 2-story. If you block off the stairs, it would be safe.
I'll look back to the others and relay the information for those who wish to seek rest.
Lightfoot's actually going to chime in. I was actually hearing that. I'm actually going to go to the building. I can block off the stairs pretty well, and kind of jingles his bag a little bit. I'm getting a little bit light on my special stuff, my special supplies, and I don't want to bug nobody with my music.
You do recall that you did you take the entire kit out of the room with you when you left?
Yes.
Okay.
Lightfoot naturally packs light enough as it is. So he
So
still
it
has some room in his pack.
it takes about an hour to fully set up, and then you can do your work. And it takes about an hour to break everything down safely and not in a hurried fashion where things can break.
Right.
Just making sure.
And Draxon's gonna go out to the he's gonna look to Shoto and well, if you're gonna hang around with us, try to get along with everybody. I'm gonna go out to the cart and get some rest. If anything happens, and he looks at Shawnee, don't hesitate to wake me up. And he's gonna go
Ari
crash in the
chimes
cart.
in. Don't worry, we won't.
He whispered through the megaphone.
At all.
Don't worry, we won't.
So I don't just to give you an idea, of what you have encountered, Dashani is basically fairly tall. She's got blonde hair, golden eyes. She's got wings that are all white with golden tips, and very, very angelic looking creature. I don't know if the rest want to give out their
Yeah.
description.
Adraxan.
Oh, go ahead, buddy.
So what you see with Adraxan is not much in the way of physical features, because he is currently wearing a suit of armor that picture Halo Spartan armor
Yeah.
mixed with like less, the the skin suit look. It's kind of like a fusion between plate armor, full plate, and a Spartan armor set. But it's silver with slight gold on it, with made out of like angled, almost V-shaped pieces of metal, but they're not exactly V's. It almost looks like really angled scales. And it's actually all of his visage is completely covered by this. There is a cape that hangs off of his right shoulder that has what looks to be a crest of some sort with a large V in the center of it, and then on his left shoulder is a fancy looking pauldron that
You can say it. It's bedazzled.
it's a bedazzled pauldron that doesn't fit, but the only reason he hasn't gotten rid of it is because it's got a pretty damn good ability. And he carries a very large blade.
It's a really good ability. It has fucked you once.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, should make sure people's not in the way of something when they cast it.
I didn't know that ability happened, especially because I was there first. You're the one that ran up.
I know. But he has a very unique looking large blade that he currently has propped on his shoulder, and that's pretty much all you get from him at the moment, because he hasn't actually gotten out of his armor yet.
And then there's Ari, who extravagant robes, jeweled tusks, 9'2" bipedal elephant with a long bow in his hand at the moment that can turn into a violin, and then he's got an elephant gun strapped to his back. And then various pockets full of stuff.
But go ahead, bud.
Biren is a 5'2" elf with gray skin and long black dreads. And you may have noticed he is a bit skittish.
A bit?
She doesn't know yet, man. Shut up.
And then Guy Kuari is a 7'6", greenish gray skin, bald headed, lavender eyed Goliath. He's about 20. He's 25 years old, so he's a little bit on the younger side as far as Goliaths go. But he also walks around with his trusty companion Squawk, which is a
Lizard chicken.
lizard chicken. There we go. That rests on his shoulder and also fights alongside him.
So you fight with one of my kin? How dare you?
You're not a chicken, you're just a lizard.
Attack you.
You're a lizard with two opposable eyes. It's a lizard with chicken-like features. Difference.
Adraxis is gonna go out to the cart and lay down and crash for his 4 hours.
And we've explained what Lightfoot looks like. He's a light-up koosh ball.
With hooves and horns.
Um,
And he's actually currently walking towards the building where he then pretty much just takes a few minutes and pulls out a few defensive style items like a bear trap, some caltrops. Pulls out what appears to be just a regular board, and he's like, I wonder what this will do. Just sets it down before he sets up his stuff and starts his brewing. But he's just to actively see him use his bag of tricks. So
And
for
while
now,
ev-
the answer is gone.
While everyone's getting situated, guys, gonna go and find a Shawnee and kind of confide in her that he recently has experienced some things going on with himself, going on with the moon and things within his body that he didn't experience before. And he wants to know if there's any type of gods that he should pray to for guidance.
Well, you see, guy, when a Goliath reaches a certain age,
You can't hear this.
that's why I didn't say it in his voice.
He hit puberty?
Above table, we changed Guy's background to he has lycanthropy, and he's discovered this recently. So he's confiding in you because he doesn't know
Mhm.
it.
So Tormy, with obviously my knowledge of the gods, would there be a god that we could refer him to?
specifically for this, I would say there is a god of the moon and special magic. In your case, you would call them curses usually. But they are magics that stick to the soul, not the body. And it is moon magic because it holds mysticism, not great works of the divine, not odd eldritch magics, not the arcane studies, not the natural world. It's a fifth marker. And well,
Fifth element.
there are several gods that work in that space just because of the multiverse. But from where you're from, I'm sure that between Jeb, Ty, and myself, we've come up with one at some point.
I'm pretty sure we have. I'd have to actually look at the deity sheet, but
I might have to get back to you on that one just so that I can give you an actual name.
yeah, I was gonna say it's your game, Tormy. You have full reign with that.
I would assume it would be a moon goddess, but that's usually a druidic thing.
I figure at this point you seem to be the one with your shit the most together, so figured you'd be the one that can fight. So if anything starts to go sideways, I'll let you know. But I'm not sure what to tell everyone else.
I mean, I think we all have seen that everybody's got some interesting skills, and yours, I'm sure, while new and something you're uncertain of, will come in handy. My suggestion would be that you pray to the goddess Velmora, and she may be the one to bring you the guidance that you need.
Got you, the goddess Gamora.
Velmora. Gamora is going to
That-
give you completely different guidance. It's probably not going to be the guidance you need.
Exactly. Please, please.
Three guidances. The three guidances: murder, murder, and murder.
Gamora's got a bit of a temper. You want Velmora.
Oh, her sister. Got it.
That's how bloodlines go. It's rhyming,
Yeah.
right?
Gamora's sister is no better than Gamora, to be honest with you, but sure.
She's kind of like Balin in female form. It's fine.
In the, in the Marvel universe, Nebula just sneezes. I think someone's talking about us.
When you're 96% cybernetic, that's a feat.
Exactly.
But
With that, guy's gonna go feed Squawk and lay down too.
Alright, takes up his post.
before we get into things with the rest cycle here, let's call it a night. It's already kind of late for most of us, and let's not push our collective luck. So,
Uh-huh.
as many of you start to settle in, as some of you start taking up watch, as one of you starts scrapping the first floor of a 2-story building, we're going to take our collective attention, swirl out into the darkness above this space as the pinprick of golden light slowly fades from our sight. We're going to swirl up into the darkness that separates our fantasies from our reality. We're going to take that deep breath, open our eyes, and unfortunately find ourselves back in reality. I would like to thank all of my players, new and old. I would like to thank everybody at home that decided to watch along with us or watch our recording afterward. Once again, just like at the beginning, I'd like to invite anybody who would like to join any of our games. Please join our stories. We haven't really limited the amount of players any of our games have so far. And as you can tell, we kind of like the chaos. No matter what, if you join and you ask us to help, somebody will help. So please come join us, have some fun, throw some interesting things our way, and we will respond in kind. With that, I'd like to
Sometimes
wish
that's good,
everybody.
sometimes that's bad.
Sometimes you start a fire you can't put out.
Or save an apocalypse or end an apocalypse by starting another one.
Or just scoop it up off the floor and hang it on the wall.
Sometimes you just got a
But-
disco ball.
Sometimes you just gotta cast Mending when you're told to.
See?
But
Chaos.
with that, I'd like to say goodnight to everybody. Wish you sweet dreams or interesting nightmares at the very least. And let's go tell some stories. Night, everyone.
Night.
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 Hey.